Good morning. Winterview back again. In his car with another brief dialogue for his dear friend Annastacey. This time it's sunny. Yes, that's what he wants on the weekend. Heading to the beach. Probably not gonna get a wave. Once again, the wave gods uncooperative with the will of Winterview. This dialogue, by special request, very common request, is: when will I get enlightened? When will it happen to me? Very common question. Not really a common question, but it represents a cluster of questions around the same way of thinking, you could say. So I thought we would have a brief stroll down the temporal time-space paradigm in between now and when I get my coffee, to go into this line of thinking, this mode of thinking, as I call it. Once again, let's start right at the beginning, where it's easiest to start, usually. This awakeness is a mystery. We can say that we exist because we seem to be here, just keeping the concepts very loose at the moment. We seem to be here. There seems to be something going on. We're present. More or less. The next thing that happens, you can say, if we take this sequentially, is that we try and figure out what's going on and who is here to know what is going on. What is our evidence? Let's keep it real simple. What's the evidence? So starting off, once again, we're here, something's happening. We look down and we see this funny creature that follows us around, that we think is us as well, the body. Now, this is where it all goes a bit funny. The mind, in its naivety or uncertainty, whichever way you'd like to look at it, naturally assumes that we are this body, or we are in this body, in the brain, perhaps it might think, but that's a more abstract notion. As far as the simple experience goes, I seem to be this body. And so the mind starts to put it together like a jigsaw. Okay, I'm this body, therefore I'm in the world. The world is all around me. I live in a universe. As I negotiate my way from A to B, I'm traversing space and time, and so on, and so forth. All stemming from that fundamental assumption that I exist, or I am the body. I exist as the body. Let's pretend, why not, that we don't know that. We don't know anything. Let's start with a conceptless sort of starting point of a total mystery. I just don't know. We immediately get put back into the starting point of, here I am, and something's happening. Immediately we are put back to there, and if that's all that can really be said with certainty, things start to become very funny. This this awakeness, let's pretend even that we don't even know that we have a word for it. It's not even awakeness or consciousness or whatever word you like. Let's not even go to that word. We end up in a very funny space, a sort of observing space, you could say, where all that's happening is there's just a looking around and we can't say much more. Things seem to be happening. There's movement in the world, shifting of colours and scenes and feelings and so on and so forth. But there's no, without the conceptualizing, there's no one that's happening to. It's just all happening. And that's more or less a good enough as any starting point to explore this. If we don't conceptualize me or I, we just stay with this awake awareness, this something's happening-ness, ask yourself the question now, when will I get enlightened? When will it happen to me? How do I get enlightened? How do I see through this appearance to see what's really going on? Very quickly, those questions don't make sense. When we start with the just this aware awakeness. Now let's do another experiment where we start to conceptualize. Let's conceptualize the person, the body, and all that just as normal. So here I am, starting point, aware, awake, present, in the body. I exist as a body. I'm a person. That's what I am. I'm definitely an individual person in this body. And I live in a world, and objects are around me separate from me. And I'm in the universe, and I feel sort of limited in time and space. I was born a certain amount of years ago, I'm living my life now, and one day I'm going to die. That's what's going to happen. And my life is sometimes good and it's sometimes bad. At the moment it's pretty good, it's a nice sunny day, I'm on my way to the beach. It's going to be good, but tomorrow I've got to go to work and I might be a bit miserable again. So there's a nice narrative conceptualization thing. And now I've heard about this thing called enlightenment, that sometimes people who, if they study or pray or meditate or sit with a guru or read a certain book, eventually that they will realize something, that they will realize that they are the totality of existence. At the moment I don't realize that. I feel limited in this body, so what I'm doing is I'm going to try and realize that through some kind of inquiry or endeavor of some kind. Okay, but I'm not there yet, because it still seems like I'm a person in a body. But I'm hoping that if I work hard enough at this or get something that I'm not getting, it will happen in the future at some point. Okay, so that's the second model. And now we ask, when will I get enlightened? When will it happen to me? In that second model, it will happen when you've figured something out. When you have something revealed to you, and it will happen in the future. And when it happens, it will happen to you. So you will be a person who is enlightened. In that second model. That's how it has to happen according to that model. It can't happen any other way. I'm really labouring this point here, obviously. If that model, second model, is true, then it somehow will have to happen like that. It'll have to happen magically in the future to you, and you will have it. Now we pause there, and we come back and remind ourselves, that's all true if the model is true. If the model is true, then that way of thinking must inevitably flow from the model, or from the precepts of the model, the foundations of the model, whichever way you want to put that. If all those foundations are true, then the second all those consequences will somehow happen based on that model. Let's go back to model 1 for a second. Something's happening, here I am. Not even that. Something's happening, I'm present. Now the question again, when will I get enlightened? The question doesn't make sense in the first model. What do you mean, I? I haven't even conceptualized time. I don't know if there's time. I don't know if there was a before, a now, or a later in the first model. I haven't gone that far. The question in the first model is a nonsense, because I haven't even defined all the terms. Enlightenment. How can I even understand enlightenment in the first model? There's nothing wrong in the first model. There's nothing I'm seeking to get away from in the first model. There's just this presence and an awareness, or an aware presence, if you want to link them together. If there's just an aware presence, what's the problem? What's the problem that I would somehow need to get away from in Model 1? Who would get anything in Model 1? There's no one there in Model 1. I haven't defined anyone. What's this idea of future anything in Model 1? How can anything happen to me? Anything. Not even enlightenment, but just literally anything in Model 1. In Model 1, where it's just awake awareness, nothing happens to me. I can't even take a drink of water in Model 1. In Model 1, there's just awareness and presence. So let's go back again, Model 2. I'm a person. I exist. I'm in a world. There's time. I'm moving through time and space. I have a life. The life belongs to me. The life is sometimes good. The life is sometimes bad. I don't like the bad. I want to get rid of it. I want to have more good. I want to achieve something for myself. I want to achieve enlightenment in the future for myself. I need to meditate. I need to change my diet. I need to pray. Now the question of when makes sense. When will be in the future? And who is it going to happen to? Me. I will get it. And why will I get it? Because I deserve it. And I will deserve it because I've studied really hard. I've put a lot of effort and endeavor into it. And I need it too, because my life, because I have a life, is not very nice. I don't like it. I'm limited. I'm afraid of my death. I want to transcend death. Somehow. So there we are. I don't want to go into the whole thing again. I think you get it. Or it is got. So in summary... Wow, this is a brief dialogue, isn't it? In summary, the questions and the thinking around when will it happen to me, when will I get enlightened, how do I get enlightened, etc., are only valid questions so far as the concepts around which they're based are valid. So the question for the seeker is how to validate a concept. How do I validate that? How do I validate time, space? How do I validate my existence, endeavor, and so forth as real? Or put it another way, what can I validate? What's the sort of barest minimum with a brief nod of concession to a concept that I can validate? It's funny, but when you go that way, it's very hard suddenly. What can I validate as a fundamental fact that is non-conceptual? The problem is that even even to think about it in some ways, little concepts have to sneak in. Awake, aware, present. That's a concept. Those are ideas and descriptors about what's happening. I don't even know if they're true. I mean, in Model 1, we just said they were true just to make the model work. But perhaps there's even a model-less reality, perhaps. A non-conceptual, or a reality that is unable to be conceptualized. Or, put it another way, reality itself cannot be conceptualized. Concepts appear in that reality, or appear in reality. So I can't very easily have a starting point for anything. As soon as I start a train of thinking or wondering, I need to use my concepts. I need to get the mind engaged and think about it. And once I start thinking about it, it seems to make sense, but it seems very complex as well at the same time. Anyway, I think I've belaboured the point, and I hope I shed a bit of clarity onto it. And I really hope I get a wave today. Hope you are all well, enjoying your weekend. Comments are welcome. Thanks for listening.